Good afternoon, I'm Anne Asis-Carilo sitting in for Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon. From besties, bromance to the worst political breakup, an extraordinary public feud erupts between U.S. President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. The Trump administration sanctions 4 ICC judges, including one handling former President Rodrigo Duterte's case. Huge upset as the Indiana Pacers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-110 in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And sana all, Lovi Poe goes on fan mode as she meets the lead singer of Evanescence. U.S. President Donald Trump's spending bill, spelling the end of his bromance with the world's richest man, Elon Musk. Their fiery breakup out in public, with Trump posting on social media that he had asked his former billionaire backer to leave the administration because he was wearing thin. Musk then called Trump an ingrate, saying without him, Trump would have lost the elections. Trump wasn't done, though, and suggested cutting government contracts and subsidies awarded to Musk's companies. No problem, says Musk, as long as Republicans removed what he called a mountain of disgusting pork in the budget bill.
Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair.
Musk, the CEO of electric vehicle maker Tesla, has said he opposes the proposed budget because it will increase federal deficits and burden Americans with debt. The billionaire also denying Trump's claim he knew everything about the spending bill. He says it was passed in the dead of night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it. Musk would later escalate the public spat further by linking Trump to the so-called Epstein files.
People leave my administration and they love us, and then at some point they miss it so badly, and some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it, but we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone, the whole world is different, and they become hostile.
So much for probably the world's most public bromance. Here's a quick look back on their tumultuous relationship. You see, Elon Musk wasn't always a fan of Donald Trump. In 2016, he said Trump was not the right person to lead the U.S. But about 6 years later, Musk announced that he would no longer support Democrats, describing them as a party of division and hate. Musk initially supported the presidential bid of Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. But as DeSantis struggled to gain further support, Musk then shifted to Trump and formally endorsed him last July after an attempted assassination on the then Republican candidate. Since then, Musk had joined Trump's campaign rallies and even spent at least $260 million to send him back to the White House. Musk ultimately ended up getting a role in the administration as head of the Department of Government Efficiency, despite skepticisms from other Trump allies. News that Trump's bromance with Musk had turned into an all-out brawl on social media came as no surprise to Americans. Some are calling it an ego war. Others believe it was just simply inevitable.
And thinks that they're God's gift to mankind, and they can, no, there's no way they can last a relationship that would last.
It looks like a lot of petty fighting, a lot of male hubris, just out on display.
A political analyst from Washington, D.C. also weighs in on the fiery feud.
The relationship anyone has with Donald Trump is always one way. you are with Trump as long as you are good for Trump. And Elon Musk didn't like that very much. We know that there was a little bit of tension between Musk and Trump in the Oval Office. There's a very famous photo from behind a door of Trump pointing at Musk, and we never really got the story behind that. I suspect we might now. We also heard of Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries like Secretary Duffy of Transportation, Secretary Rubio of State, really pushing back against what Musk wanted to do. For someone who promised $2 trillion in cuts and probably only got about $170 million, this is really a failure.
In other news, the Trump administration imposes sanctions on 4 judges at the International Criminal Court. Among them, Rain Alapini Gansu, who is among those handling the crimes against humanity case against former President Rodrigo Duterte. Washington is retaliating over the War Tribunal's issuance of an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It also cites the ICC's cases on alleged war crimes by U.S. troops in Afghanistan. The court slammed the move, saying it is an attempt to undermine the independence of an international judicial institution that provides justice to millions of victims of atrocities. Vice President Sara Duterte is back in the Philippines after a trip to Qatar and the Netherlands. She spent her birthday weekend in The Hague, where she also visited her detained father, former President Duterte. Her office says she will address relevant matters in the coming days. Her arrival comes days before the Senate votes on whether or not they should convene as an impeachment court for her trial. The proceedings were initially scheduled this week, but Senate President Cheese Escudero postponed them to supposedly allow the chamber to tackle priority measures. For former Senator Antonio Trillanes, nothing is final as to who will vote for the acquittal or conviction of VP Duterte. On Billionaire News Channel's On Point, Trillanes explains this is the reason why the trial should push through.
Ang bilangan kasi sa dulo, hindi sa una. Kaya we should not assume na hindi komo ang mga public pronouncements ng iba't ibang mga senador ay leaning acquittal, leaning conviction. It doesn't mean na mananatili yon. Yun lahat ay magbabase primarily sa ebidensya. Then yung public opinion, pag nakumbinse yung sambayan ng Pilipino na talagang guilty si Sara Duterte, it will be very difficult for the senators as representatives of the people na salungatin yon yung pulso ng bayan na yun.
While the vice president supposedly has the support of most senators, Trillanes believes there are still those who remain undecided. He also claims Senate President Cheese Escudero himself is aware that his decision to delay the impeachment proceedings is wrong. Trillanes says Escudero may be under pressure to retain his leadership. On to the West Philippine Sea, where Chinese vessels linger. A Chinese Navy warship was monitored while our BRP Andres Bonifacio was conducting a maritime patrol near Panata Island in the Kalayaan Island Group. The Philippine Navy ship issued 4 radio challenges, but Beijing asserted their claim over the territorial waters. 2 other Chinese maritime militia vessels were also spotted in the area. No aggressive incidents were reported. High waves and a risky boat ride did not stop the media from joining the Navy's patrol in the West Philippine Sea. Their mission to document life on the farthest islands and the quiet vigilance that guards the country's sovereignty. Francis Falve with the details.
The shore-to-ship operation to board the BRP Andres Bonifacio was not easy for members of the media. Rubber boats were used to brave rough seas with waves as high as 4 to 5 meters. After more than 20 minutes, the team finally boarded the Philippine Navy's gray ship and sailed into the West Philippine Sea. First stop, Parola Island, also known as the Lighthouse or Northeast Cay. This is the 3rd largest landform in the Kalayaan Island Group. The island is surrounded by coral reefs. Just over 2 kilometers from here is Pugad Island, which though within our exclusive economic zone, is now under Vietnamese control. Reports say it used to be under Philippine jurisdiction but was taken over by Vietnam in the 1970s. Colonel Joel Bonavente, commander of Naval Task Force 42, says that despite this, the Philippines and Vietnam have maintained good relations. In fact, he said, Filipino and Vietnamese troops even hold friendly games together. He described this as a good example of peaceful coexistence between neighboring countries in the Indo-Pacific region.
Exactly po. Pwede po mag-exist without any tension.
A structure can be seen on Pugat Island and development there continues. On the third day of the aerial and naval maritime patrol in the West Philippine Sea, the team landed on Likas Island, the second largest land mass along the Kalayaan group of islands covering more than 18 hectares. There is a Philippine flag, Coast Guard and a military detachment on the island. For troop sustenance, they keep livestock and grow vegetables. Technical Sergeant Nino Calbog is one of the troops stationed on Likas Island. In his 20 years of service, he has been assigned to Hulo, engaged in combat in Marawi, and deployed to other islands in the Kalayaan group. But he says the greatest challenge is being away from his family. Because of this, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is also focusing on the mental health of troops deployed to remote locations including islands at the edge of the country.
Part naman ng trabaho yan, ng sundalo na ang isolation. But tulad nga na sabi ko, our troops here are highly trained ang mga yan and well motivated to do that kind of job.
This is why troop rotation and resupply missions are essential on these islands. The sacrifice of our soldiers, Coast Guard and Maritime Police is no small matter. They ensure our territory is not taken.
Nag-conduct tayo nga ng maritime patrol na media embedded. So ito, part din nito no, ng pag-celebrate natin ng ating 126th anniversary ng ating kalayaan. So dito pinapakita natin no, na ang bawat feature natin dito sa West Philippine Sea, yung siyam na features na to, no, ay tinatauhan natin ng miyembro ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas to assert our sovereignty. And with this, we're showing the Filipino people, no, yung warmth na nandito po yung media, nakita nyo talaga kung ano yung sitwasyon dito sa isla. Napakaganda po ng ating bayang Pilipinas.
While conducting maritime patrol, the team spotted several Vietnamese and Chinese vessels. There was even a radio challenge incident, but it was quickly resolved. No Chinese harassment has been recorded so far. Francis Polbe, Billionaire News Channel.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Coast Guard departs for Japan for its first trilateral maritime exercise overseas. Andrea Salve joins us on the line for details. Andrea, go ahead.
And the Philippine Coast Guard has begun their voyage en route to Japan for the conduct of its three-day trilateral maritime exercise, along with its Japanese and American counterparts. Aboard PCG's flagship vessel BRP Teresa Magbanwa, at least 123 personnel were sent off this morning. According to their commandant, Admiral Ronnie Hilgavan, this is the agency's first trilateral maritime exercise overseas. The scheduled trainings are poised to strengthen their capabilities in search and rescue, communications interoperability, and law enforcement. These exercises, he said, are integral aspects in doing the right thing based on international maritime rules and laws, putting China out of the question. Amid China's criticisms against previous maritime exercises between the Philippines and its allies, Admiral Gavan emphasized it is not meant to bring instability in the region. He said adhering to laws already means pursuing stability and peace. The PCG fleet is expected to arrive in Kagoshima on June 12. The 97-meter vessel, on the other hand, will undergo maintenance activities before the trilateral maritime exercise from June 16 to 19. Anne?
Thank you so much for that report, Andrea Salve. President Bongbong Marcos joins the Muslim community in commemorating Eid al-Adha, or the Feast of Sacrifice. Marcos calls on Filipinos to embrace the meaning of the solemn celebration and reflect on what kind of offering truly strengthens a nation. The president also stresses letting go of pride brings people closer to the Almighty. For her part, Vice President Sara Duterte expresses hope that the celebration reminds Filipinos of the importance of sacrifice, faith, and kindness. She emphasized these values are not only important to faith, but to our daily lives as a nation. The unemployment rate climbs to 4.1% in April. That's up from 3.9% in March and 4% in April last year. The drop in employment hit key service industries, including manufacturing, food and hospitality, entertainment, retail, and other services. We're taking a break. Up ahead, a fangirl moment for Lovi Poe as she meets the lead singer of Evanescence. That and more when Newsfeed at Noon returns. Tyrese Halliburton, in his first NBA Finals, hit the game-winning jumper as the Indiana Pacers snatched Game 1 from the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-110. The Pacers rallied from a 15-point fourth-quarter deficit, taking the lead for the first time on Halliburton's clutch shot, with just 0.3 of a second left. The Thunder's chance for a catch-and-shoot went away after Alex Caruso's inbound pass was deflected. Game 2 remains at Paycom Center in Oklahoma City, 8 a.m. Monday, Philippine time. A podium finish for Filipino gymnastics king Carlos Yulo in the Asian Artistic Gymnastics Championships. The double Olympic gold medalist clinched a bronze medal in the men's individual all-around in Korea. He finished behind Japan's Oka Shinosuke and Hasegawa Tsuyoshi. This marks Yulo's first tournament since his stunning Olympic run in Paris last year. Kaloy is set to compete in multiple event finals, including floor and apparatus in the Continental Showcase. In entertainment, MissWorld Asia 2025 Krishna Gravides is back in the Philippines. She arrived at NAIA Terminal 1 Thursday night to a hero's welcome from supporters. Gravides thanked Filipinos for their unwavering support, calling her win a shared victory. Krishna ended her Miss World journey at top 8 last week, though she clinched the Continental Award. Her homecoming parade is set for tomorrow, the details of which have yet to be announced. Actress Lovi Poe turns her fangirl mode on as she meets the lead singer of rock band Evanescence. On Instagram, Poe posted her selfie with Amy Lee, taken during the LA special screening of Ballerina. She shared Evanescence's hit song My Immortal is her go-to karaoke song. The rock band's single titled Fight Like a Girl is included in the official soundtrack of the Ballerina movie from the world of John Wick, in theaters June 6. Australia's ocean dominance gets a Hollywood upgrade. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds became co-owners of the country's three-time Sail GP champion team, now rebranded as the Bonds Flying Roos. The team will make their star-studded debut this weekend to defend their championship position at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. Founded in 2019, Sail GP pits national crews in catamarans that can reach speeds of over 100 kilometers per hour within meters of the shoreline. And before we go, some royal news as Britain's King Charles attends the South by Southwest Festival in London. Charles spoke with artists as he visited exhibitions. He also met American actor and writer Ben McKenzie, who took the opportunity to hand the king a copy of his book about cryptocurrencies. The Culture, Technology, and Creativity Festival is the first European iteration of the event that originated in Austin, Texas. And those are the news this hour. I'm Anne Asis-Carilo, sitting in for Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Billionaire News Channel. Good afternoon.